Well, I was brought up in the south east, Kent.
I think Edwin probably would agree the same, that summers were very long.
I just always remember the weather being better. We seemed to have much more freedom, where you just went out in the morning, came home for your tea at night, and nobody could contact you.
It was idyllic. There was nothing to harm us, and there was nothing to get in the way of the happy family that we had. Memories, walking to school down the allotments with Eddie, and
The one that sticks to mind right away is Subbuteo.
stickle bricks, I think. I don't know if you know what stickle bricks are.
There's a little car.
A little red bubble car that we drove up and down, not during Christmas, etc. You know, you would come back from school and you'd walk in the front room, all of a sudden there would be a new bike, and it was like out of the blue. My father was a very gentle man, a very funny individual who loved his children.
Everybody liked him. Hard working, very good with his hands. Had a sweep over like Bobby Charlton.
He was a very intelligent man as well, a deep thinking individual that reasoned and not unwilling to swim against the tide, because he certainly did that, becoming one of Jehovah's Witnesses.
I never felt good about it at any stage. I felt different, ostracised in a way. For an example, that would be somebody's birthday in the class, and they'd have some cakes and party poppers and balloons. But before those parties started, we had to be removed to a separate room because we couldn't take part in those things. It was against the religion to celebrate birthdays.
It was like a big, huge family as well. You never had anybody that you couldn't play with. There was nothing that harmed us. There was no pain in our lives. There was no difficulties that we faced, and we had a congregation around us that whenever anything was required would be there to support.
You just felt, what is it about us or me can't join in with the rest of the group. That is in the Jehovah's Witness Kingdom Hall.
I think I remember the chairs as well.
What I remember about those Sundays was a complete and utter boredom as a child.
It's hard to listen to things you don't really understand.
You don't question it when you're a child. You don't question the validity. You just do as your parent tells you, what they think. Often when that finished, we would go to, I think it was called Loudon Park.
Playing rounders, and it wasn't just the three of us, there was hundreds of children.
Playing rounders and being part of it, just great.
Unfortunately, they were cut short, but they were good times.
When you're 11 or 12 year old, it's kind of sudden, because you never believed that something like that would happen to you.
Well, I hadn't realised really he was ill. I knew he was ill, I knew he'd been in bed.
They obviously knew the end was near, so they wanted us out of the house. So we went and lived with whoever it was for a few days.
My mum came round and she asked me to come into the kitchen, and I went, oh, it's lovely seeing all my aunties and uncles from Scotland, and all came down, this is great. And then she came round, she sat me on her knee.
And just sat us down and told us,
your dad has died. And the pain just went right into my wee heart, because I knew what death was.
It's a kind of surreal feeling, actually. When you're that age, you don't know anything about death, you don't really think about it.
Because I had a real understanding of the resurrection. I didn't have a real understanding of the hope, but at that point I was in real pain. We still continued to go to the Kingdom Hall, probably for another 6 months prior to coming up to Scotland.
We always came up to visit my now brothers. That was fantastic. Playing Subbuteo or table tennis, and we always said it'd be great if you guys could live with us all the time. And then it happened, and then it wasn't so great because there was 6 boys in a 3-bedroom house.
To another family that just experienced trauma who lost their mum. You got a lot of angry little individuals that put faces on and masks on, but it comes out.
Dean and I were always fighting.
I lost my teeth. Eddie knocked my teeth out there one day before I was even 15.
Trivial things like, you wearing my shirt or where's my pencils?
I always vowed when I was bigger I'm going to get them back. But unfortunately I grew to love them by that time. It was like, and we don't understand as people that haven't had trauma as children what it does to people and how it will kind of pan out in their lives.
Nobody really broached the subject of the fact that we had stopped attending the meetings, as they call them. I can't remember anybody ever saying, how come we don't do that anymore? Or, to be honest, I think me personally, I was quite happy just to leave it and not say anything.
growing up without it was just a fight, and I was very good at it. There's really no direction. There's no direction. There's no right or wrong, really, is there?
I remember the first Christmas that we had felt a bit strange. I remember looking out the side of my eyes at Mum, waiting for some kind of reaction, but waking up on Christmas morning and presents for the first time in my life was strange. Ian's had these moments. Been a bit of a wild boy a lot of his days. Even from a very early age, Ian was a fighter.
Well, you know me, I went right off the rails. I've been at children's panels, done for breaking entry. As a youth, I was wild, but it wasn't necessarily my happiest time.
He ended up in quite a formidable fighting force in the Navy. I think he was in the clearance diver courses.
I ended up trying to find something else and then to university, and then I was part of the Scottish Society for Philosophy and Education. I worked for the government and looking at policy, but I never found anything really there.
When he turned to religion, I can remember thinking, that's probably what he needs right now, is something like that in his life to try to give him some focus and some direction, some control.
And I had this kind of flashback. It was kind of to praying in my bed saying, when I'm an adult, I'll come back. And I'd never thought of that before, ever. Just came back to me. It was as if, remember that promise you made?
I don't have any great strong feelings over whether or not there is a God.
He's got the whole world in his hands. I thought, he's doing a rubbish job. What kind of God's this? But then the scripture in the Bible says the whole world's lying in the power of Satan the devil. The whole world's in its power. And I went, well, that would make sense. So how did it change me? It gave me answers to some of the things that I see. Most people will agree that religion has got nothing to do with wars and fighting each other and bombing and stuff like that. But the reality is, whether the philosophy in religion says it's wrong, it still happens. But I think it also does people an awful lot of good.
Jehovah's Witnesses? Not interested.
There's absolutely no harm in having a faith. If you personally have that belief and you live and let live. So I'd still be drinking and trying to find your next hit, but I don't need that anymore. I've got something much, much better. Family's all some people have got, friends as well, friends and family. Without them, what's the point?